I couldn't believe it when I got the call. Danny's my best friend. We met each other in college. I was in the weight room getting together for a pre-basketball workout, and there he was. He's a 6'5", brawly kind of dude. He had 65-pound dumbbells in his hands, and he was just swinging them, like they were 25 pounds, and it was just ridiculous. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And a friend of mine was like, yeah, he plays with us. He's ridiculous. And from then on, he introduced me to Denny, and we were just best friends. We were inseparable. We were in school, and it was senior year, and we got a dog. Like, the dog was the best move we ever made. It was a puppy. It was a pit bull puppy, and it was called Snoop. I remember Snoop. Snoop's my guy. Snoop, I love Snoop. Because Snoop rounded out our trifecta. Like, we played basketball, we were seniors, and we had a puppy. That guarantees you are absolutely cool with the ladies. If you lose at that point, you gotta like work some things out. But then I got that call. It was Danny's mom. She was crying uncontrollably, and all she could say was, "He's gone, Dave, he's gone. Danny took his whole life." And at that moment, my entire world collapsed. Because for me, Danny wasn't just a regular friend. He was my best friend. We used to call him Super because we called him Superman. Not because of his physique, obviously, but he was just there for everyone. Danny had a smile that could light up a room and a personality that was priceless. Like, no matter where Danny was, he was making friends. So that news was just, it was completely earth-shattering. And then I remember it was me, Omar, Murph, Pierre, the usual suspects we hang out with in college. Craig, I can't forget Craig because I love Craig. And we were all hanging out doing our normal thing, Danny. But there was a big difference. I'm walking down a hallway. I remember it has red carpet. This red carpet kind of stood out to me. And as I'm walking down this hallway, I get about halfway there, and I dart back. I spill out of the door and out of the funeral home and dropped right down onto my knees and started to cry. Omar came outside of the funeral home and picked me up off the floor and said, "Dave, we could take this walk together." And I was like, no, this is a walk I got to take on my own. I gathered my things, got myself together, walked back into the funeral home, back into this hallway, the longest hallway in the world, I'm telling you. Red carpet. It's like a horror movie, just lights flickering. Now in hindsight, it's ridiculous. And I'm walking down this hallway. I'm walking. I make a left, I make a right, and boom. It was Danny. In a casket, cold, and it was the first time I've seen him since I saw him alive. I remember just wanting to just touch him, see what he felt like. He was cold. He was dressed in the clothes that he loved to wear with a Superman emblem on his chest. And I was just crushed. I was devastated. Fast forward about a year and a half, maybe even 2. I'm beating myself up. It's like probably one of the worst 2 years of my life. And I just can't get over it. I can't get over what happened, how it happened, how I didn't see it happening. Because you see, Danny, for me, he was always kind of like a cheerleader for me. I'm a musician, and at the time, our band was going through an upswing. And in that upswing, it was one of the first major tours we did. We was touring with the Gym Class Heroes at the time. And I was having a hard time adjusting to tour life. Like, oh, wow, you're in a bag, you're in a different city every day, living out of a hotel, you're eating trash food, it's whatever it is. And Danny was always like, hey, you got this. Me wanting to come home. He's like, trust me, you got this. There's no way. When we pulled into New York, he came out to the New York show, biggest rager, literally big 6'4" dude with a oxymoron shirt on. That's the name of our band, raging, blocking all the little girls in the front, being a jerk. But I loved him for that because he always made me feel and always believed that I was good enough, even when I didn't believe I was good enough. He was an awesome guy in that kind of way. So now I'm off tour, a few years go by, and I'm beating myself up like, why? the whole time I was on tour, Danny was there for me. And I just could not be his Superman. I could not see what he was doing. Was I just so self-absorbed? Was my life that much better than his in my mind? Or was I just being a big baby about what was going on, living the greatest moment of my life, and he's living the worst of his life? And I could not notice, what kind of friend am I? Now I'm at my parents' house, and I'm just going through some bunch of old things that was in my room, and there was a CD. And I remember this CD, and this CD has significant importance because this CD, Danny gave it to me the very last time I saw him living. He came over, I was packing up, getting ready to go to tour, and he came over and he gave me the CD. He said, yo, you gotta check the CD, D, this thing is the greatest, it's gonna change your life. And I was like, CD's gonna change my life? I said, Danny, I got like 5 loads of laundry to do. If you help me, that's gonna change my life. And so I kind of like ignored the CD, and now finding this years later, that CD was a Buddhism CD. And in that CD that Danny gave me, it made me become a Buddhist. I dove in, I started understanding suffering, attachment to certain things, and I dove into myself and learned things about myself eternally that I never knew before. And it was cool because Danny knew what he was doing. He knew he was going to leave at some point because his thing was always saying in hindsight, like, hey, this realm's done for me. He spoke in a lot of metaphors, so I've had enough of this realm. And he knew he was leaving this realm, so he gave me something to hold on to, so he was still being my Superman, even though he knew he was going to be gone. So even with that is, even though Danny turned out to be his own kryptonite, he will always and forever be my Superman. Thank you.